와, 저기 보세요. Can you do skiing over there? Sorry. 와,
맛이 어떻습니까?
와, 생명수예요, 생명수.
네, 넷째 날이 밝았습니다, 여러분. 드디어 바이오스피어2에 도착을 했고요. 예, 보이시나요?
아, 드디어
보시나요?
저희가 애리조나 투싼, 사실은 오라클이에요, 정확하게. 오라클에 위치한 바이오스피어2에 도착을 했고, 아, 이거를 이렇게 심도 있게 그 유튜브 채널 통해서 공개하는 게 사실 한국에서는 저희가 처음인 거로 알고 있습니다.
최초 공개.
예,
굉장히 심도 있게.
일반인이 못 들어가는 곳.
일반인이 못 들어가는 곳을 저희가 허가를 받았거든요.
그렇죠.
우리를 왜 허가해줬죠?
아, 엄청난 컨택이 있었죠.
Unreal
예.
Science.
어떤 한 멤버의 엄청난 컨택이 있었죠.
엄청난 노력이 있었죠.
예.
이 과학자의 의지였다.
그렇다.
네, 의지였다.
예.
공진, 공의 의지.
예.
지금 보시면 이렇게 생겼어요.
스케일이 장난이 아닌데?
바이오스피어 1은 지구, 그리고 2가 여기 닫힌 공간인데
인위적인 인공생태계인 거죠.
그렇죠. 예.
뭐 마치 뭐 제주도 식물원 같이 생겼죠?
근데 정말로 완전 밀폐예요.
네, 완전 밀폐.
그렇죠. 예.
정말
원래
완전
목적은
밀폐.
예.
한 번 이렇게 한 적이 있다고 들었는데.
두 번
그렇죠.
정도
그러니까
산소를
정도.
투입했어요.
예.
아,
근데 원래 프로젝트 자체의 목적은 완전한 밀폐에서 생존할 수 있는가, 자급자족할 수
그럼
있는가.
이제는 어느 정도 안정화가 됐다.
지금은 이제는
실험
밀폐가
공간으로
안 돼 있죠?
썼죠. 예, 실험 공간을 쓰고 있죠, 지금은.
지금은 아니죠.
예. 근데 어느 정도 반밀폐로,
반밀폐로.
생태계를 미니어처화해서
실험하는
분석하는
공간으로.
공간으로.
일부 구간을 계속 실험하면서
그렇죠.
약간 클로즈 시스템을 만들고.
그렇습니다.
91년도에 실험할 때는 이제 클로즈드 시스템으로 여러 사람들이 함께 여기서 실험에 참여를 했는데 두 번의 시즌에 걸쳐서 했던 실험이 이슈가 많이 발생하고 막 아픈 사람도 생기고 또 뭐 파벌이 나눠지기도 하고 이러면서 실험은 중단됐고 지금은 이렇게 투어하는 장소 그리고 연구하는 장소로 쓰이고 있습니다.
야, 아직까지 실험하고 있으면 되게 재밌겠는데 우리가 못 들어가겠죠.
아, 저희가 안 그래도 그런 얘기들을 물어봤어요. 그렇지만 오늘은 진정한 제대로 된 프로가 저희들을 가이드해 주실 것입니다.
와우.
그래서 우리 얘기보다는 이제 가이드분의 어떤 그 가이드를 통해서 훨씬 더 딥한 이야기들을 한번 나눠보도록 하죠.
기대가 많이 되고요. 오늘 바이오스피어2 네, 많은 기대해 주세요.
네, 출발!
가자!
Hello, how are you? Are you Janice?
I am.
Oh my God, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So when this project first began, they chose this location because of the sun. We needed lots of sun. Most of the year to be sunny, and because we don't have any natural disasters here. We don't have earthquakes, we don't have tornadoes, we don't have hurricanes.
But here is monsoon.
Yes, and last night we had monsoon like you wouldn't believe. You'll see there's a lot of mud down here.
You
from
know,
last night.
actually, yeah, we also had some extreme experience yesterday. And
Life-threatening
2 days
situation.
ago.
Yeah.
Where?
In Ottoman, do you know the Ottoman?
The gold mining
area.
area.
Gold mining place. Yeah.
Well, and it's all over spotty. You never know where you're going to be.
Right. Yeah, it's
It hit
localized.
right here last night, and so we're cleaning up the mud now.
Oh my God.
But this this land was originally purchased in 1984, and the original purchase was 1,600 acres. And that was all this land over here too, and all these structures. Motorola was here for a while, and they built some of these structures that you see. But the land was purchased, ironically, from the University of Arizona. In a land swap, we're able to obtain this land. And we don't own any of this land over here. We just have a 40-acre campus now. I'll explain that to you in just a minute. This is now a research facility. But when it was originally designed, well, it was a research facility, but it was really trying to understand space travel.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Make a
why we are
colony.
here. Yeah.
And see if you could live inside of a structure without the help of the earth. Sealed tight. And so we'll talk about that as we go.
Oh my God.
So this is a good place to see some of the historic buildings. Okay?
Yeah.
Those with the metal roof on it now, that has just been constructed to put a new metal roof on there, but that was the greenhouses with the glass roof before. And they were the first structures that were built back in 1987 when they started construction.
So that is the first building.
Very
Yes.
first.
And they did that on purpose because they needed to bring plants in from different parts of the world, and they needed to grow them in there. And the state of Arizona required them to be under quarantine to make sure that they weren't going to bring in any invasive species or pests. And then they would grow to maturity so that they would be fully grown by the time they went inside the big building over here. Then behind that, you see the little gray building over there with the little rooftop, kind of silvery top? Kind of looks like a little bridge near it. That's the original test module. They decided that they would build a very, very small replica of the project first to make sure it was going to work. Well, it didn't work. That building right there had louvers on the rooftop, and they would open and close, and mechanically they failed, and the glass was not good enough, and they needed to scrap that whole plan. And they decided to go with the second one, which you can see has now been kind of painted white. It's right by the greenhouses there. The reason that has been painted white is this is now a new Mars project over here.
For
And
new
so they
Mars
don't
project?
Yes.
Wow.
And that test module was 11,000 cubic feet, and they put people in there airtight for 1 day, for 3 days, I think 8 days, and then 21 days, and it worked really, really well. So they knew they were on the right track. And then they continued construction on this.
So that is some kinds of Biosphere 1.3, something like that?
Yes. So those buildings are very historic, and we love that they're being maintained. Now, there's a project that's going on over there that's called SAM. It's Space Analog Mars and Moon Mission Training. And so they were able to paint the glass because they don't need the sun. They're going to use artificial light for the plants to grow. There's a little miniature lung, but actual Mars astronauts will be training over there. And then they rehabilitated the greenhouses to be the terrain of Mars, and they'll be able to practice traversing the landscape on Mars in their spacesuits as they live over there. And this is the only place where we have it sealed airtight. So there's lots of Mars training places throughout the world, but this one's the only one that's airtight sealed.
Wow.
Okay, and it's still under construction. It's almost finished, and they'll start the missions of training astronauts for the Mars or Moon mission, whichever one.
와, 저기 보세요. 이렇게 가까이서 바이오스피어2를 볼 수 있을 거라고는 저 상상을 못했습니다. 너무 커, 너무 커.
Now, the designer, a man by the name of Phil Hawes, he was the architect. He was here a few months ago, and it was really interesting to talk with him. But he borrowed from past structures in history to design the building. So if you look at the wilderness biome right here, pyramids from Saqqara, Egypt, not from Giza, because you see it's a step design.
Yeah, step design.
So the first pyramids had the step design.
애국민수. 그러니까 이게 지금 저 디자인마다 과거에서 많이 차용을 해가지고.
Now the little tower of the library, which I'll take you up there today.
Okay.
That was like a mosque or a minaret. It's a library tower. There was a library up there. Right now it's not in use. And it's not on the tour route normally, but I'll take you up there. And then the barrel design kind of also steps down. That came from ancient Babylon. And then we've got the geodesic domes, which are Buckminster Fuller.
Fuller.
That's the lungs.
버키볼. 버키볼.
I think that bringing all of those things together just made it really beautiful.
Yeah.
And it really could have just been a rectangular box and you would have gotten the same effect. But they wanted to make it beautiful, and so when you actually see it, it's just very awe-inspiring.
자, 입장합니다.
Would you mute for me?
Hello. 아, 여기서 직접 드신 거예요, 이 테이블에서.
This is called the upper human habitat.
Upper human habitat.
This is where the people lived.
Yeah.
Okay, the 8 people that were sealed inside of here lived in this area up here and down below, which we'll go to both. This was their original kitchen and original dining room. We've preserved the kitchen. This is the same table and same chairs. The only thing we've changed is the carpet, and it was that purple wool.
So this is 30 years old.
Always still the same. Yeah, very historic.
그대로 이 카페 빼고는 다 그대로라고 합니다.
But this is where they ate all of their meals. And this was a really important place. There was no individual kitchens in each of their apartments. So everything was done together. And whatever they ate, they had to grow. They didn't bring in any food supplies to begin the project. But mostly they lived on beans and beets and sweet potatoes and sorghum, peanuts, some rice. And that gave them the most energy and nutrition in order to work as hard as they had to work when they were sealed inside of here. Now there were 8 people, 4 men and 4 women, and they took turns cooking, starting with dinner and then breakfast and lunch, and then it would hand off to the next person. And whatever they harvested out of their farm, they would bring to the cook, and the cook would make the best of it. So some cooks were better than other cooks, and they had to be very careful because they couldn't get more ingredients if they ruined it. They had goats for milk, chickens for eggs, and some pigs for protein.
Okay.
But not very many. And meat was about once a week at the most.
Once a week.
But the rest of the time it was pretty meager. And they were hungry and tired. Because they worked about 16 hours a day in the farm and maintaining the 3 acres above ground, and then there's 2 acres below ground. So they were very, very busy. So this has to do with the kitchen and them preparing meals, and these are the original people.
바이오스피리안 분들이 실제
Yes.
이렇게 생존했던 이런 야채 식사들만 했습니다. 왜냐? 여기서 기를 수 있기 때문에.
채소 위주.
다 직접 그 수확을 했어야 돼서.
This is the crew right here.
First crew.
Okay.
First crew.
Yes, this is the first. 4 men and 4 women. You can see they had to take care of the ocean, so they would dive, and that's Abigail, and this is her taking care of the ocean. Sometimes they would picnic down on the beach. We'll go down there. This is a picture before they went in. This is an example of one of the apartments. After the second mission, we preserved this apartment, and a little sitting room down here, and up the spiral staircase was a bed and a dresser. But there were 10 apartments that were built, but 8 people who went inside, and if they had put 10 people in here, they would not have been able to make it for the 2 years. It would be too many. And 2 apartments shared 1 restroom. So the bathrooms are right in between.
Not too bad.
This is the Leo project. But this was the farm when the people were here. These hill slopes were not there.
They were farming in there, but
They were down below, okay? But we took the soil out and put these giant hill slopes in here. This is a really big deal project.
for the recent research project, right?
Yes, but we rain on the hill slopes, and that is basalt rock or lava rock. Oh, there's my guy. He's going to tell you about this project for a minute, okay?
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay, thank you.
So for Leo, the Landscape Evolution Observatory, there's quite a few new things going on recently, and I'll focus on those guys. And the whole point is to kind of see, well, how does life establish where it hasn't been prior? Is the crux of it, and really getting into the mechanisms of how we can foster life potentially on new worlds in the future.
Okay.
Stuff like Mars and everything. So right now we're doing a rainfall experiment to look at how water's moving through the hill slopes, and in turn, how that also, some other questions would be how that affects the soil crust on there. Do you see any of the gray patches on the slope? If you peek out, and you know what? Here,
Oh.
how about this?
Oh, thanks.
I'll give you guys a good spin.
Can you do skiing over there? Sorry.
So don't touch the slope.
Oh, yeah, of
okay.
course.
Mind you.
Because it's research facility.
So where do you see life on there? Where do you see life?
I don't know.
It's all over.
All over?
So we got a little bit of green patches there with the
I
moss.
can see the green patches.
moss.
Yeah, we got some of the moss, and those spores came in from opening these doors potentially and such. But then if you see all these different colored patches on there, like these light grays, some of the reds, those are biological soil crust, a form of bacteria that's on there. A good bacteria, very resilient, that's helped life a lot, particularly in the deserts. And right now we're seeing how that bacteria can affect infiltration rates, or how water seeps through into the soil and affecting the water table there. And it's really, really good stuff. And they'll be doing that up until March or so. And the other thing that we're setting up are some of these camera systems here. And you can kind of see these smaller cameras along this track here. And what these guys do, it gives us a nice repetition of taking pictures of the slope and seeing if there's any changes over time, or classifying different areas on it to do some analysis of, well, why is this here versus not here, and this and that, right? We're also getting at something called a shortwave infrared camera, and that one's the most expensive. It's around 16,000 McDouble cheeseburgers. And that one you can get at, we're thinking we can get at the soil water content as well as the water content inside the plants. So a lot of exciting stuff, and we'll be a big project for growing convergence and working with people from all sorts of disciplines, hydrology, psychology, ecology, remote sensing, all sorts of different fields, geochemistry, coming together to answer some of these fundamental questions of how, when you have a volcanic island and things happen with all with the volcano and the rock, how does life get there and how does it establish itself? And that's kind of the fundamental thing.
So all kinds of scientists are working in here now,
all kinds.
right?
We even have 2 social scientists helping to see how do all these scientists get together and talk to each other, because we have different vocabulary. We have well over 1,000 sensors here.
Over 1,000 sensors? Wow, way over.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always say more than 2,000.
Yeah.
In each slope.
Wow.
Yeah. Buried in the soil and underneath. And you'll see those when we go down below.
Then they will never know that if I steal something, right?
Oh yeah, well no. We got these cameras and we got video cameras.
Right.
You say hello to the world.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a joke. I'm sorry.
No worries there. No worries there.
All right, you guys.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Oh,
Thank you. So you guys go ahead on up. Start the hike. We're going to the library tower.
Okay.
와, 와, 여기 보세요. 야, 여기
와, 꼭대기 올라왔어요.
조금 무서운데. 와.
But they used to have 2,000 books up here. We're gonna turn this into a place where people can come up, read some books, sit around, enjoy the amazing 360-degree view.
Yeah.
What do you think was the most popular book up here?
I don't know. Okay, wait a second.
Bible?
A lot of people say that.
No, that's not the Bible. I think comic books.
The cookbook.
Many recipes.
Cookbooks.
For surviving.
Yeah.
This was where the animals were kept. So the goats, the chickens, and the pigs, this was their area. Now it's offices.
여기에.
So here are chickens and pigs
and goats.
Goats. Wow.
Not too many. But this was connected to this was the agriculture biome. This is the third bay of Leo, right here. So we'll see you'll see those in a minute from the other side. But all this area in here is now offices, but this is the different areas where the goats, the chickens, and the pigs lived. Okay?
Got it.
So agrivoltaics. So when you grow plants underneath the photovoltaic panels, plants transpire. They throw off moisture. That moisture goes up to the bottom of the panels and cools them down.
Because
In
they
the
need
desert,
the cooling
that's very
system.
important because in the summertime here, it can reach degree 110 Fahrenheit.
110.
And when it does, those are not efficient. The solar panels are more efficient when they're a little bit cooler. The month of March is the best time for our solar panels here in Arizona. When it gets really hot, they're not as efficient.
Yeah.
The plants are also protected from the hot desert sun.
Yeah.
And you can see the control group out there. What we find is that we get a longer growing season for the plants growing underneath because we can grow them year round, they're protected. And we use less water. And it cools the panels, which gives us more efficiency.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win-win.
So they're making synergy.
Water, energy, and food plant production.
Yeah.
So if you have a small space in a third world country where they have very limited resources, this is a perfect project where they can produce power and grow food at the same time and conserve their water. And so that's what this is designed to do. This is solar space.
Solar space.
So this technology was developed by the University of Arizona.
Okay.
I don't know if you know, but the University of Arizona does mirrors better than anybody in the world.
I know mirror
James Webb
Yeah.
has our mirrors.
Giant Magellan
Yes.
telescope,
Have
right?
They all have our mirrors.
Yeah.
All telescopes out there have our mirrors.
Yeah.
And we have a mirror lab underneath our football stadium.
I know the world famous mirror lab
Yes.
in there, right?
Very, very good.
Yeah.
They developed this technology, and you can see how the mirrors are curved.
Yeah.
They're parabolic mirrors.
Uh-huh.
Well, when this is operational, they move, and they follow the sun all day. And at noon, they go up on their back. So they're constantly collecting sun and feeding it into the cone, which is bouncing back and hitting and being stored in the containment behind. And Solar Space is going to use it to put these solar panels in places throughout the country where we need electric chargers, but we don't have the grid
the electric
for
cars.
electric vehicles.
Wow.
Because right now, they have to run the grid.
Yeah.
They won't have to do that.
Yeah.
Because it can be, you've traveled the United States, you know how we have big, wide, open spaces for hundreds of miles. There's no one and nothing, right?
Yeah.
It's very expensive if you have to lay the grid through all of that space. But if you can just put these solar panels out there, they can make the energy that the cars need.
Is
and
some
the
kind
cars
of-
will be able
yeah.
to charge underneath a cover like this right here, and those panels will be doing all the work.
I think it's
And
really
it's free.
good idea.
Isn't it a great idea?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's the best idea.
자, 이제 리오의 바닥면으로 한번 가보도록 하겠습니다.
리오.
자, 아까 그 토양에 있던 이 슬라이드가 우리가 이제 그 밑에서 보고 있는 거예요.
This is the test module.
Yeah, cute Rio.
But usually when they're going to do a project, they will put the project on here first. Right now there's no project, and before they do it on the big hill slopes.
Okay.
So after they rain on each of the hill slopes, then they'll come down and collect the sensors and the water, and then they can analyze it and see how everything has changed from the soil to the water to the molecules of everything.
Okay. So
And they would stand inside the little booth.
여기가 그
There's a phone
this
on the
is
other side.
early 90s Skype,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. So
여기 이제
and the
면회실.
person out here
네.
would
그,
pick up this phone.
안에 계신 분들 면회하는 데가 이렇게 부스가 있고.
And you would talk to them in there, they had a phone inside.
Yeah, right.
And if you put your hand up against the glass,
And then
that's called a biospherian handshake.
something like this.
Yes. So this is the door. Every night we close this door. I'm going to close it for you now so you can take a picture.
오.
자, 감옥이 닫힙니다.
와. 이런 느낌에서 이제 면회를 오는 거죠.
잠깐만, 저희 쫓겨난 것 같은데?
핸드쉐이크.
네, 여기 지금 바이오스피리언이 아직도 거주하고 있는 모습입니다.
아, 이런 게 다.
당시에 진짜 처절했겠는데?
와, 이게 진짜
근데 이제 어쨌든 사명감을 갖고 들어갔으니까.
여기 밀봉 시스템 때문에 이런 데 다 이렇게 러버 고무가
그러네요.
있어요.
네. 와,
맛이 어떻습니까?
와, 생명수예요, 생명수. 나 좀 더.
And it's really good water.
Oh, really?
I'll show you down below why it's so good.
오케이. 뭔가 좋은 거래요.
This is the orchard.
Orchard.
So in the orchard, it was their sweet shop. That's Leo. That was the farm. They were connected. Okay? So this is where they grew fruit. That's where they grew the vegetables. And on the other side over there is where the animals were. But this was filled with all kinds of citrus, figs, bananas.
I can see the banana.
All kinds of fruits that they could put in here. Guava, mango, papaya, pineapple, anything and everything. Tropical cherry, tropical apple, and coffee.
It's a coffee.
You guys drink coffee?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, the biospherians got to have coffee once every 2 to 3 weeks.
Because
There's not
they
enough
doesn't have-
beans.
Not enough beans.
All right, now we're going to go down underground.
이거 보세요. 엄청 커요.